The clock on the wall says it's 7 p.m. on February 21st, 2018. I'd like to call the Lisle Library District Strategic Planning Committee of the whole meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Here.
Jay Fisher.
Here.
Richard Flint.
Here.
Thomas Hummel.
Here.
Liz Sullivan. Absent. Emily Swistak.
Here.
Laurie Wayne.
Here.
The quorum is present. Item 2 on the agenda is the opportunity for visitors to speak. Visitors are allotted 5 minutes to address the board. We have a microphone under our new videotaping system. Does anyone in the public wish to address the board? Hearing none?
A point of order?
Yes, sir.
If this is a committee of the strategic plan, then I think there's more people on the roster.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Add the additional staff members that are indicating the roll call, please.
Elizabeth Hopkins. Here. And Will Savage.
Here.
And Tatiana.
Tatiana Weinstein. Here. Seth McQuillan.
Thank you. Item 3 under the agenda is introductions. As Trustee Flint mentioned, this is a committee of the whole to deal with strategic planning, so it's made up of the board members as well as some staff. So my name is Jay Fisher. I am the president of the board. If you want to go around.
Tom Hummel, Vice President.
Laurie Wayne, Treasurer.
Will?
I'm Will Savage, Director of Youth Services.
Elizabeth Hopkins, Director of Adult Services.
Marjorie Bartelli, Trustee.
Emily Swistak, Trustee.
Richard Flint, trustee.
Beth McQuillan, Assistant Director. Tatiana Weinstein, Director.
Thank you. This is the first in a series of meetings that we'll have on the strategic planning process. And so the purpose of this one is sort of to review where we've been and how we've gotten to where we are. And so the director has created a PowerPoint presentation that will deal with under item 4, which is review the strategic plan 2011 to 2016 strategic plans. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to the director.
Okay, Chris, could you get the lights, please? Thank you. Okay, everything in this PowerPoint will reference our agenda items here. It just put it into a nice tight package. So we'll move on and we'll go, we've already done our introductions here. So we have the full board and then staff represented, or myself, the assistant director, Will, and Elizabeth. And then we're going to review the 2011 through 2016 strategic plan. That plan is available on our website currently. It does note our vision, which is to enrich, educate, and empower the residents of the Lisle Library District. Our mission is to enhance the cultural, social, and lifelong educational development of the community. And again, it's available on our website under the About Us tab. And this strategic plan, as it stands, it has an introductory letter. It discusses the process, the history, and the current conditions at the time of creation. It also notes different strategies. And I think back then when we had our committee to develop this plan, we called the certain strategies buckets, focus areas. So we're going to review those buckets right now. And then in reviewing those buckets, I'm going to talk about some of the accomplishments. And again, what I mentioned here, and you'll see it come up in purple, some of the accomplishments since this plan was created is by no means exhaustive. They're just examples of some of the things we've accomplished during this time. So the first bucket was called Public Relations and Marketing, and that particular strategy was defined as creating and promoting vital, dynamic, patron-friendly public image of the library, showcasing essential sources of information, lifelong learning, cultural enrichment, and civic involvement. And under the first objective, it talked about creating a marketing plan to increase community awareness of the library, including using new technology methods to get the message to our audience. So some of the ways we accomplished that were honing the communications coordinator position to serve as our primary marketing employee and someone who also coordinates our social media efforts. We also launched our new website and highlighted our social media in 2014. The next objective talked about creating original programming to meet the needs of our community. And we did this by expanding our senior programming, increasing our teen advisory board activities. We initiated K through second grade programs and added craft programming for adults. The third objective talked about initiating uniform branding of the library, and we did this by introducing a new logo in the fall of 2012. The next objective is about attracting new users to the library and connecting with current and new residents and businesses. So we do this by instituting more outreach visits in the community, as well as continuing our business partnership every September. And then the last point talks about implementing marketing methods to study community dynamics. Back in 2012, we did contract with a marketing consultant named Terry Marshall, and we also used the Neighbors brochure in terms of marketing. Both these efforts kind of ceased, sunsetted. So again, these things in purple are just examples of how we try to accomplish these goals. The next bucket for strategy is called collections and resources. This one talks about developing and maintaining the library's collection to meet the evolving information needs of our community. So the next 3 bullet points, I kind of pulled together with the way we accomplished that. The bullet points reference developing a comprehensive plan to talk about evaluating our collection, providing a consistent assessment of the collection and formats, and then research expanding cooperative resource sharing with other institutions and/or organizations. So we've done this by establishing annual departmental collection development procedures. We hold regular meetings regarding our collection. We regularly evaluate cooperative opportunities, and this involves not only digitally, so we employed Overdrive Advantage, which is our online digital content platform in 2013. Rails formed its cooperative in 2011. We partner with the Lisle Women's Club, the Heritage Society, and Friends of the Lisle Public Library. Again, examples, I'm sure we've exceeded these, but this is just to give a better example of how we've accomplished these. Objective, okay. Next bucket is space and place. And this talks about providing a welcoming environment for our patrons and the community. And so the first objective was providing space for the growing needs of the community, both physical and virtual. So we added new furniture, we added some electrical outlets within the facility footprint. We did some painting indoors and outdoors in between 2012 and 2013. And then again, the new website, blogs, and social media helps accomplish the virtual connection there. Then the second bullet point is about investing in the library resources to provide a safe and secure environment. Annually, we employ IT safeguards, the firewall and backup system. We installed automatic entrance doors in 2012. We installed outdoor camera system in 2014. And then the third bullet point, outfit the library campus to meet the patrons' needs using current technology. We did install a connection desk, and that's where librarians, staff help patrons with their digital devices and also instruct as well. The fourth bullet point talks about expanding the library presence beyond our campus through outreach and programming, and we do that by programming at St. John's, at different preschools, Dragonfly Landing, and at schools. And then we provide an environment to support cultural and artistic interaction. We launched Gallery 777 on the adult floor in 2013. And then regularly evaluating sources to increase funding. We were awarded a grant in 2015, a literacy grant, and then we annually apply for the per capita grant. And then we have one of the strategies is about staff, administration, and trustee development. This is about attracting, retaining, and developing expert, diverse, and dedicated staff and trustees and recognizing their contributions. So the first bullet point is to lead and empower staff to deliver effective and quality services. So we revised our job descriptions. It was a very large project and completed that in 2013. Established initiatives to create a learning environment. We conduct annual staff development day training and provide opportunities for additional professional enhancements, and that being going to conferences, meetings, and webinars. The third bullet point is about training into the technology, public relations, and building plans. We budget for training opportunities for staff as well as trustees. That should be there too. Promoting new learning opportunities for staff and share them with the district community. Offering competitive salaries and benefits for librarians and support staff. We annually do an analysis of the salary scale and pay grades, and we do maintain professional librarian positions within this public library, and then we budget for the competitive salaries. Second to last, promote collaborative culture of learning. As a C third point, we hold regular department director and staff meetings to establish standards as well as set expectations for our staff. And then lastly, encourage and provide opportunities for ongoing trustee training. We do budget for that, and we do communicate those opportunities to the trustees. And then this is the last strategy, technology. Institute our core technology to work effectively, easily, and intuitively for both patrons and staff. So we continually assess ways to interact with the library through technology, ensuring that we support popular and promising technologies as used or benefiting our patrons. So staff attend conferences, meetings, webinars, and then share that with administration for possible implementation. The next bullet point is about initiating effective and efficient administrative infrastructure, allowing for changes in technology operations, staffing, and funding as needed. This didn't happen during the time period between 2011 and 2016. This happened more in 2017. Just a note, we have had administrative changes since then. The previous director was our IT administrator, so when this was first implemented, it was the director before that, so there may have been a different vision back then. Third bullet point was invest in remote offsite library capabilities to better connect with the community. This was on hold until the community engagement project, and I think this reference was to book vending machines and return boxes. This is what was brought up during the strategic planning. So obviously an added cost, so we waited a couple of years before we wanted to investigate investing funds towards this. And then the fourth, seek to provide privacy and security beyond minimal legal requirements, investigate physical security systems, and keep abreast of confidentiality and privacy issues. This, if we go back to Space in Place, we did, it's kind of a mirror of some of the physical IT safeguards that were there. We had a firewall and backup system, and then we installed the outdoor surveillance cameras in 2014. And then lastly, provide a forum to create digital content, including digitization of local resources and assessment of other electronic formats which host content. We do provide an online, we do have online hosted databases, but as far as a media lab or a 3D printing station, that was again put on hold until we could make some definitive decisions about investing funds towards having something like this. Obviously a large cost there. Okay, so that was the strategic plan from 2011 through 2016 and some examples of how we accomplished some of the objectives. Now we're going to talk about the path to the community engagement project that happened in 2017. This project, the path there is a long path because it actually began with the Facilities Steering Committee, which began in 2012. And this Facilities Steering Committee was formed because the library back then was considering a parking lot project. We also own the lot on 725 Front Street. So with those two things, the board felt it was important to create a committee to try and talk about what we need for the library moving forward in terms of 5-10 years from now. Especially if we were going to invest in a large parking lot project back then, it would benefit us to assess the entire library and campus. So I'm going to call it the FSC because it's an easier than saying the Facilities Steering Committee. We used the strategic plan as our document, and we wanted one of the trustees who was on that committee. We took to heart what she said. She recommended to think broadly in terms of larger, lasting improvements rather than temporary band-aid solutions. So that's what that committee took to heart, in moving forward. So in 2012, some of the preliminary discussions about the existing problems or challenges for us were that a lot of the members of that committee thought our parking lot was awkward and our entrance to the building was awkward. Talked about some accessibility concerns for the mobility challenge patrons. We talked about limited space for children, teens, and literacy work. Our circulation desks, we have one on the youth services floor, we have one on the adult services floor. Some of our shelving was not browsable, some too low, some too high. And then we have limited bathrooms for youth and for families. And then we also asked some staff to come to some of these meetings, and some of those needs were, they wanted more enhanced public and staff technology. They wanted a redesign for the parking lot. They mentioned improved shelving as well. They wanted more space on the public floors for browsing, and then accessibility for the mobility challenge. So now we're going through the Facility Steering Committee between 2013 and 2016. Again, this is all condensed, just to fit it into these slides. In 2013, that committee viewed a presentation from the staff visiting the Bolingbrook Public Library, and they had a lot of innovative things going on in 2013. They had a new building, they had a lot of new rooms, and a lot of new services to offer their patrons. So the committee viewed the presentation of that library. In 2013, the library acquired the property on the other side of the library on Kingston Avenue. So now the library has 2 lots adjacent to it. In 2014, the Facility Steering Committee started to discuss, now that they've reviewed some of the other libraries and in their meetings, some of the needs they thought, some of the things they thought that this library needed. And then in having those discussions, they created a report called a Comparative Study of Trends and Initiatives. And then they presented this report to the entire board. And that report outlined a lot of things. It referred to the strategic plan. It referred to the Illinois Library Association standards for public libraries. It also documented the library's history from 1965 to when we opened through 2007 interior renovation project. It referenced Lisle demographics. It talked about some statistics and trends. There was a description of the entire committee's process. It compared us to 15 other libraries that were similar to us, not mirror images, but similar. It talked about some of the enhanced services that other more contemporary libraries had, and then it documented some of the challenges that the committee thought we had here at the Lisle Library District. And then it offered a kind of a bird's eye view of the property. The committee presented this in October of 2014, and it didn't meet until 2016 when the board president then officially retired that committee. So going back to that report, excuse me, we use the Illinois Library Association standards book because it has a lot of very relevant and important advice. And so these 3 paragraphs really meant a lot to the committee. I'm just going to read it so some of our guests can, I know they can't read that far, or I couldn't. It says, the physical library remains central to library service. While no one model can meet every unique local need, some requirements are common to most public libraries. These include adequate and accessible space to host and circulate collections, comfortable and attractive public spaces for the public, comfortable work and lounge areas for staff, and space for board meetings, story times, and other library programs. As the mission of public libraries expands, space will be required for new uses that weren't previously seen as library offerings. Most of these uses rely on flexible space and a high degree of connectivity. Flexibility is the single most important design goal. And again, this is back in 2014, and since then, I think some of these things have changed, but they're still very relevant to our needs now. So the committee found the following principles important coming from this, the ILA standards book. The first one being the library provides the right amount of space of the right kind to meet the provisions of its long-range strategic plan. At least once every 5 years, the board directs a review of the library's long-term space needs. Shelving in every area should be appropriately scaled to meet the needs of the user. The facilities provide the maximum possible flexibility for future changes in design, furnishings, and technology. Data and power should be available throughout the facility. And then sustainable green designs, building designed in a sustainable manner can offer increased comfort for the occupants, healthier internal environments, lower energy costs, and can promote increased productivity. So some of the challenges that the committee summarized after all of this work were that they felt there was not enough handicap parking, there was not a safe patron drop-off lane at our entrance, there was no youth or family bathroom on the second floor, found the navigation within the building awkward, 2 floors and 2 circulation desks, they found this inefficient. There were some space constraints regarding certain collection areas like the audiovisual area, fiction, youth services, teen, literacy, the staff offices, and then shelter areas for tornado or weather-related events like that. Technology needs and sustainability, they wish for a computer lab and meeting room media needs. Mobility requirements regarding shelving, entrance, and wider aisles for those people who are mobility challenged. Meeting or study space is at a minimum. Energy and electrical inefficiencies in the building. And then when the committee compared our library to 15 other similar libraries, we lack in having a centralized circulation desk, a media lab, a computer lab, a local history area, a vending area, smart meeting room, more study space, adequate office space, and teen space. Okay, so we're going to move on to 2015 and 2016. In 2015, the board hired Engberg Anderson, an architectural firm, to then complete a facility review, a space study. And this was the result of all of the work of the committee and the challenges that they voiced. And this project assessed the overall space needs of the district, whether the condition, organization, and use of the existing facility can meet the space needs. And then if the existing space is insufficient to meet the needs, does the building site itself possess sufficient potential to be either renovated, expanded, or replaced? And you can see at the right here, we've got the kind of bird's eye view of the building, and then the 2 lots adjacent to the building that the library owns. Okay. So I just want to affirm that this space study was not their results were not anything that the board came up with. This was an independent firm and these are their opinions. So they mentioned the current building exhibits key space-related deficiencies, and this was in comparison with various libraries in Illinois as well as Wisconsin. Okay, so they note that space is in limited supply and challenging in its arrangement. Staff and public space are spread throughout 3 levels of the building. The largest level is narrow, long, and pinched at multiple points, difficult to access and separated from youth services. Youth services area is exceptionally small. Access to key spaces such as the adult services and youth services areas from the arrival area is less than inviting, reducing the experience of visitors. Public wayfinding for first-time users, caregivers with children, persons with mobility issues, and anyone using the meeting room is difficult at best. And then lastly, the building is limited in its ability to accept new technology-rich services. A lack of power and data pathways reduces the frequency and extent to which emerging services can be inserted into the facility. And then the building is packed. In spite of its recent efforts to improve the aesthetics and performance, there is a critical need to deploy services and collections in an effective manner and complete long overdue physical upgrades and renewal. Again, this is their results in comparison with other libraries. And then just lastly, they summed up with the existing building cannot meet the space needs, expansion or replacement is required. They mentioned that we have an existing 33,000 square foot capacity right now, and that they recommend a 60% larger to meet the needs that they compare to with the other libraries in Illinois and Wisconsin. And then the second bullet point, the best combination of cost and performance value is offered by a replacement of the current facility. And it says that we can meet these needs on our current property. There is sufficient land available to accommodate various expansions or replacements of the current building. Okay, so we're going to move forward through. And in December of 2016, the Lisle Library District Strategic Plan period ended, but we do and did still continue to follow the plan guidelines until the next revision. There's some good stuff in there and we continue to do so. We also experienced administrative change with the retirement of a director in 2016 and the hiring of a new director in 2017. And during that time, this community engagement project was launched, and it was launched in 2016 and then moved through 2017. And then the makeup of our board also changed in 2017 with the election of 3 new trustees and the re-election of a former trustee. So there's been a lot of rehashing of the history, and so that's why I'm glad we're here today to kind of summarize everything and bring us to this next point. So the Facility Steering Committee and Space Study led to the Community Engagement Project, and after 4 years of meetings, presentations, reports, the board hired Millennia Consulting in 2016 to conduct this community engagement project and gather input from the community at large to see what they wanted for the library. And then the results will guide us in our decision making as well as inform the next strategic plan. So the project results are all available on the library's website right now. Excuse me. And this is just a snapshot of what's available on the website, but just some points to talk about here today. The survey had 737 respondents. It's not representative of the whole district, which is about 29,000 residents. It does overrepresent female, white, older residents from Southwest Lisle. Usage, the parking lot and restrooms, librarians and staff assistants, and the physical collections are the most commonly used resources. As far as likes and dislikes, and again, these little categories are from the survey. So the likes and dislikes, the librarians and print and video collections are almost universally liked by all who took the survey. And just a side note, we asked survey takers to identify as either users or non-users. So when I talk about users and non-users, I just want you to know that we ask them to define themselves. Second point, parking lot, restrooms, and library catalog are less strongly liked, drawing some negative ratings. And again, this is just about liking. Audio collection, interlibrary loan, computers, and Wi-Fi are very well liked. Digital collection and self-check machines draw some negative ratings. And then when we get into spending priorities, modernizing the children's space was a winning priority with all respondents. The Media Lab is the next apparent priority to respondents. Similar views from users and non-users as well. Meeting space with technology and teen space garner less support monetarily. Exterior improvement, improved parking lot, and coffee bar and snack space are less supported monetarily. Small group study are slightly more supported, followed by large meeting rooms. And then users have strong inclinations towards investment in print, digital, and online materials. And then the non-users come close to user enthusiasm for digital and online resources, but not for print. Support for longer hours or book vending machines was, and again, this is all about the money. And then we get into attitudes. It's very similar to the likes and dislikes. Nearly everyone who took the survey had positive attitude about the library, saw it as an asset. About 20% of the users and non-users have negative views of the parking lot and entrance and design. About 20% of the users and non-users have negative views of the entryway and foyer. Large majorities of users have positive views about finding resources within the building. Most users prefer to attend programs here at the library as opposed to off-site. For users and non-users alike, email is the preferred way to receive information. And then the paper newsletter has a strong second for users only. And then while half of the users 50% strongly agree with the use of tax dollars, almost 20% somewhat agree, and 50% disagree, and 20% have no opinion. And this was a general question about, does the library utilize your tax dollars effectively? 2/3 of users expect to need the library even more at another stage in life, and half of the non-users expect to need it more. And then this I just pulled from their report, and this is a summary of the focus groups and the public forums. We had 4 focus groups and 2 public forums in the summer of 2017. And what the consultants summarizes from these meetings were that the groups, all of the residents found that they value the library as a meeting place and an intergenerational community center. They really value the staff, it's their greatest asset. They found the library was a guaranteed and trusted source of information, a truly democratic institution. It's a safe environment for their children. It has innovative children's programming, well-balanced collection, high-quality programming. Young people are high technology users and have the desire for more access to STEAM-related programming, hands-on opportunities, and improving the interlibrary loan transfer and access to online services. That was a suggestion. They need to spruce up the library and make it bright and welcoming, especially the entryway, expand the use of technology and social media, a more creative use and possible reorganization of the existing space, and then a need for enhanced communication about the library and its resources, and again, need to raise awareness and promote the library more. There was a lot of conversation about the awareness in these public forums. Okay, this is the last slide. All right, so there's a lot of data here. All the resources at hand that we already have in our history here is we have our strategic plan, we had a facility steering committee report, we have that actual comparative study report, we've got about 120-page space study, and then we had the community engagement project. So it's a lot of data, and again, we're here to discuss the strategic planning. It's not just about the facility, but it should include the facility, because ever since 2011, 2012, we've had some common themes throughout our conversations about the facility. So we are going to talk about the library's philosophy, our operations, staffing, but we're also going to talk about some concrete decisions about some of the needs in the building here. So with that, I'm going to turn it to Jay to talk about some homework and open it up for questions. Could you hit the lights, Chris?
Before we get to the homework, is there comments or questions from any of the committee members as to regards to Tatiana's history of how we've gotten to where we are now? Yeah.
I thought it was a very good, thorough report, give us background and context of where we have been. So I think it's a really good report. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Well, in regards to how we move forward, in my discussions with Tatiana, we got to figure out, we don't need to reinvent the wheel, but maybe, there are other good ideas out there that we should look at and incorporate as we prepare this strategic plan. So one of the things we talked about was researching other strategic plans from libraries or maybe even from other public bodies. And so then we would each come up with one plan that we liked, either for the content of the plan or even for the format of the plan. Maybe there's a library plan that may not necessarily apply to how we are, but you like the way that it's formatted compared to the one that we have now. So
there's no template for our strategic plans. It can have 3 buckets, it can have 15. So it's up to us to formulate how we want to move forward with a plan. Some list just goals, some list strategies, goals, objectives. So there's a number of ways we can go about it.
And so in addition to the format, we need to talk about what, you know, what buckets should be included in our plan. Again, 5, 3, more than 5. So think about the areas that you think our plan should focus on. Bring those ideas to the next meeting. But as Tatiana said, specifically, one of the things as we go forward, both in terms of this plan process, but also in terms of the general budget and other uses of the library is, you know, look around and think about what areas of the facility need attention, you know, what areas facility improvements should be highlighted in our strategic plan. So think about that and bring those ideas to the next meeting.
Right, I mean, again, when I asked to use the resources at hand, you've been provided all of the reports. And please take into consideration some of the work that was done before. And also think ahead, because things have changed since 2011, 2012. And libraries are offering other things. There's some virtual offerings as well as physical offerings. There's some space needs for certain things, and there's some things offered that don't require space. So bring all those ideas, please. And yes, please refer to some of the common themes that have been repeated. And I know we have new board members, but again, some of the work that's been done some of the themes have been repeated. I'll just bring one up, having a bathroom on the youth services floor. That's been an issue for a long time.
You know, I mean, one of the things that was mentioned was technology. It
Yes.
seemed like a lot of the technology one has been pushed forward, but technology is always changing. You know, think about
Flexibility.
flexibility of technology, incorporating new technology as we go forward through the strategic plan period.
Right. Does that sound like some homework we can bring back?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And I know, Longer, you had mentioned before the benefit of maybe trying to come up with a timeline as to, you know, set out where we.
Yeah, well, it all depends on, you know, the opinion around the board members. Are we, you know, have a diverging opinions in terms of it's going to be a rework or, you know, overhaul or just a tweak of what we already got. So I don't know whether it's enough to take opinion poll here or should we wait until next meeting. I'm just,
Okay.
yeah,
think that's
I don't know
fair.
if everybody has a position today already or should we just wait until we do our homework and come back with where we think, how we're going to structure the discussion.
I think, my opinion is when we come back next after we
Yep.
see the other plans that people bring forward to say, oh, you know,
Okay.
ours is good, maybe we do need to tweak it compared to looking at other ones, but maybe some other ones are coming in and we want to maybe do more in-depth reworking of the plan. But I think in my discussions with Tatiana, you know, we want to get this through as quickly as we can because it's intertwined with the whole budget as well as
Yeah.
other things so it's not something we want to dilly-dally if we can avoid that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not about rushing this through, absolutely not, but I think we're at a really good timing right now, because in the next couple of months, we will be talking about budget, and if we're going to do anything that includes some change physically, it should be a part of those discussions as well, whether it's big or small. So this is a good time to start our committee.
And we don't have to do everything at once
No.
either. I mean, it could be year 1 is this,
Sure.
year 2 is this, year 3, 4, 5, et cetera.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Our strategic plan doesn't have to be 5 years, because a lot of things change within 5 years. I mean, you can probably predict next 2 or 3 years. It could be a, you know, mid-range versus a long-range 5-year plan.
Right, and we can revisit this, I mean, we can make it a 3-year if we wanted to, or we can, and revisit it midway through. It's up to us. But it's good to have those, that structure, that skeleton outline.
And then, Jade, when you mentioned about the homework, research, other strategic plan, are we just confined with other libraries or just government entity, or could also reference to the private, you know, enterprises as well?
you can use whatever plan you think would help the library. I just, you know, obviously libraries is more specifically focused and relatable to what we're doing here, but if there's a plan out there that you think would be beneficial for us to look at, please pass it along.
And I know it was mentioned at the last meeting, I think it was in your director's report, about the villages beginning a strategic plan process too.
Yeah, they're hiring a consultant.
Yeah. So I mean, we can just keep an eye on what they're doing too and see, I mean, maybe as they're, we might finish before them, but if we could pull maybe some little information that's relevant why it's going on.
Sure.
Because I'm sure they'll have public meetings on that too. And then, I'm trying to think when the Park District did one last too, see if there's anything, I know they had some study, I don't know if it's an official strategic plan or not, but they had like a community engagement a couple of years ago, so I don't know if there's stuff in there. I mean, I've looked at it in the past, I could run through it again and see if there's anything relevant in there as well, so.
Yeah, I am not opposed to borrowing from
Yeah.
any other entity
Yeah.
because there's some good work out there.
And and even, I'll use School District 202. We don't know, we have other school districts in the library district. No, 202 is building a new elementary school. If I recall, they've got a really nice fancy library, or I don't know if they're calling it a library or whatever, going into that school as well, so.
The elementary school?
The elementary school, yes, and so, yeah, and plus we're losing the school down the street here too, actually in a couple of years.
And they're not called learning commons, Tom.
And they're not called learning commons anymore?
They're called learning
Learning
commons,
commons,
not
that would-
libraries.
Yeah, I know they changed, I didn't know if they were calling them libraries or something else, learning commons, so we could look at what they put in that school, and then, yeah,
Okay.
there's other things going on in the community that we could pull from. I don't know if 203's done anything recently.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You have input from the second row?
The cheap seats.
The one thing I'd offer is that a strategic plan is a plan to get us from where we are to the sort of library we want to be. That's really critical. It's not just a hodgepodge of fixes. We need a bathroom upstairs, we need new carpets. That's going to be part of it. But we won't understand what we're doing unless we keep, and I think among our visitors, every one of our visitors who has spoken in the last 6 months has expressed what sort of library they want. Somebody said last meeting, I like the library the way it is. Okay? Many people have said that. So we should take those comments seriously and decide what sort of library do we want to wind up being 4 or 5 years from now. And the strategic plan is the way to get there. Then if we can keep that in our mind, all the details will find their own place.
Richard?
I think the one thing that I learned going through the strategic plan process of the last time and then trying to implement it,
Beth chaired it.
I co-chaired it
Co-chaired it.
with Jay French. So what I learned was in trying to set goals, many things pyramided or built off of another goal. So you couldn't be starting, we had it divided into the buckets. And you couldn't sometimes do one activity that was in one bucket until you did something else in another. So the strategic plan becomes also a roadmap of how to get there. So, you know, you have this great vision of what you want to do, but as we said, several people here, that it's not all started in 1 year, it can be spread out. But you really need a roadmap of how to get there.
And it can evolve into other things. It's just like with technology, you may wish one thing when we start it today, and then 3 years from now, it's a totally different direction. So yes, echoing what Beth just said.
I'd like to say one more thing too. A strategic plan is a plan that you use all the time. You go to these meetings and you do enough reading and people will ask you, where is your strategic plan? Is it in a desk drawer someplace? How often do you use it? And I can vouch for the fact that we use our strategic plan just about every meeting. You know, we'd figure out what needed to be voted on, what initiatives or what reports needed on past work. We'd always look at the strategic plan. And if somebody forgot, I would say, where are we on the strategic plan? So we're thinking about a plan that we can use all the time, every meeting. Whether we explicitly refer to it or not, it has been consulted.
As Beth said, it's a roadmap. Any other comments or questions from the members? All right. Well,
We have some dates.
yeah, we were
Oh,
thinking,
yes.
We've got some dates.
April is busy with budget stuff, but please come back in March.
Yeah, I've got some dates on the wall, we'll just put them up. It's easier this way than writing them all out. Do any of these work for you? We got,
Can you tell us what days of the week those are?
Okay, so March 6th is a Tuesday, the 7th is a Wednesday, the 21st was the Wednesday, the 29th was a Thursday.
what did I say?
Oh, the 22nd, excuse me, was a Thursday.
And then May?
Our board meeting was the 14th. In May, the 2nd is a Wednesday, the 3rd is Thursday, the 8th is Tuesday, and the 30th was Wednesday. The reason there's no more other dates, it's the meeting rooms are already booked.
March 29th is spring break, Emily.
Well, I'm already,
So,
21st and 22nd, I am out of town of March. But I can miss a meeting, I guess.
They are recorded.
I mean, how much time the team need to kind of bring back some examples, initial thoughts to kind of initiate that discussion? Would be like, can we just make it like the 7th if everybody's available for our
I can't do the
follow-up meeting?
7th.
And the 6th doesn't work for me, and I was gonna, I don't know how much in-depth you want with the homework assignment, so I don't know if the 6th or the 7th.
What
yeah.
I'm asking is if everyone here, so I'm expecting 11 strategic plans to be mailed to me, then I will put them all together and send them out to everyone and share. So we have time to review before our next meeting and talk about what we liked, what we didn't like.
Well, it seems like the 6th, the 21st, the 22nd of March are problematic. And I notice April doesn't make an appearance.
That's budget meetings.
I know, I know. So I don't like May 30th, but otherwise, the other 3 dates in May seem, I haven't heard anybody voice an objection to 2, 3, and 8 in May.
No, that's okay. I'm just saying, May is actually okay, we're so far away, so I don't have any
Yeah.
specific plans.
The 29th of March, was that bad for everyone?
the issue is that.
Oh, spring break.
Spring break.
That's right.
I'm not going anywhere, but
I
I don't know if Jay is, but
I take my spring break and down the grill.
It's still uncertain whether I'm going anywhere.
if you're
or
going
not.
anywhere,
Yes.
we are not.
But does it work for other people, or
Yeah, I'm
the
not
29th?
sure.
I don't know when your spring break is longer, what you're doing.
Yeah. The 29th probably doesn't work. Thursday typically doesn't work for me.
Was
Okay,
22nd bad for everybody?
Just
No.
it's bad for Marjorie,
I can't make it, but
Marjorie's gone the 21st and 22nd.
Oh, right.
but I can,
I'm good with 21st, but I can't make 22nd.
I'm fine with the 21st, I don't know.
I'm out of town. I will not be here.
So it's like March 21st or May 2nd?
Exactly, we're down to March 21st or May 2nd.
Wow.
Yeah.
May 2nd's good.
I think it's kind of long.
Yeah.
I agree with Laurie.
May
That's
2nd?
that's so far away.
Far away from
Yeah,
now.
Yeah.
It is a lot.
I feel like we'd have to do this whole meeting all over again.
Yes.
Let's not do that.
Yeah.
And what about March 6th? It didn't work for anyone? Too soon?
I think the question, Marjorie, was kind of soon. That's 13 days away.
Unless everybody's committed to send your material to Tatiana,
In like a
early
week.
next week.
Yeah.
And then
That'd
give
be-
you a week, make sure you do your homework and come back with some ideas.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like a
I mean,
commitment
that's-
that
I
we'll
actually got
have to
some on
make.
the 6th, I have a Hawks game, and also, I mean, that's gonna be kind of tight.
Want to draw straws?
I mean, I don't know.
March 7th, is there?
I can't do the
You can't
7th.
do March, and we can't do March 7th, okay.
Mm-mm.
So, we're down to,
I mean, my biggest, I mean, I could probably get out of March 6th, but the thing with March 6th is that a little bit too soon?
Not for me.
Might
That's
be
for
too-
you
but
to do your
probably-
homework.
Probably a little bit too soon, yeah.
Well, I mean, and we don't even know about Liz and her
Yeah.
availability, so, I think we should pick a date because these meeting rooms book.
Well, is that because of the meeting room availability? That's why we have those dates that we don't,
Yes.
or, well, can we meet off-site or no? Oh, we can't because we have to,
I have,
we
I
have
mean,
to make a record. Yeah.
well, I tend to agree with Will that May is
Yeah,
too far away.
That's too far away.
So then we gotta make do with the best of the bad
I mean, we
options
are
in March.
recording, yeah, and we're
Yeah.
recording these meetings, so if someone misses that, I mean, Liz is missing tonight's, she'll be able to just take a look. I mean, I'd say pick a day in March that we have the space, and you never know who's gonna be sick or whatever, they may miss it too, so
Yeah.
I would pick a day in March from these dates.
21st or?
Sorry, Marjorie, but it seems like the 21st works for most everyone. And in terms of what the committee, what needs to do. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if it's the 21st, then it's the 21st, but I just want to say, I think it's more important that we can all be together than that we have to wait a couple of extra weeks. So I still say May 2nd, but it seems like I'm outvoted. I think it's more important to pick a
I
date
would
when we
agree
can all
with
be
you on
together.
that one, Richard, but
I mean,
that's-
I could do May 2nd, but I also agree with Will and Jay, it does seem
I think-
a little
I think-
further away, but
I think
I'm
being a
open
little
to
further
it.
away is the least bad option.
Oh, Then I'm open.
It's 3 months. Like, that's a long time, Richard. I mean, I don't know. I think we talked about how we don't want to rush this through, but we don't want to dilly-dally either. Like,
I agree, but I'm saying it's the least bad option.
well, how many budget meetings are we going to have in April?
We
At
may,
least
well, we're
two.
scheduling two.
There's
We may
2
have
that are
three.
scheduled
I'm
already.
sorry.
We
There's,
are scheduled for 2, but we may have more.
Okay.
I realize this process started, we just learned 6 years ago now. But I don't think we want to wait, if we wait 3 months for one meeting, then 3 months for the next meeting, that's already another half a year, and our strategic plan ended in 16, we won't have another strategic plan until 19, so that's a whole 3-year gap right there that we've dropped the ball.
I think we should book May 2nd also. I
That
think-
could be the second.
That could be the
Yeah.
second
That
one.
would be our third meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Book
Mhm.
both,
So-
because they may, that's a good one. Book both.
And like Tatiana and Beth mentioned, we went through, and you guys went through all the trouble of getting all these microphones and this camera set up. Like, we did that so that if someone is not here, they can still get the entire conversation and not have missed out on it.
Jay, when will you know about the 29th? You said you're not even sure you're going away.
That's a good question, Marjorie. Hopefully within the next couple weeks.
The 29th.
Yeah, it looks like you booked it
Yeah.
3 times.
So yeah, why don't we set it for, can we book the 21st, the 29th, and May 2nd?
Yeah, we just,
Alright.
already did. We're gonna do it.
So am I the only one that
What-
has
what are the
issues
dates?
with March 29th?
I may have issue. I have to figure it out tomorrow.
Okay.
21, 29, and 2.
And May 2nd.
We're just gonna put a placeholder there, and then you can get back to me, Jay,
Okay.
and then I'll let the committee know.
So we got the 21st,
21st,
the 29th of March, and May
29th.
2nd.
Yes, and so we're going to decide between the 21st and the 29th.
Right.
And hopefully we can get some input from Liz as well,
Yep.
as to her availability.
I'll reach out.
And don't forget April 4 and 18 for Committee of the Whole for Budget.
Yes.
And don't forget March 14th and April 11th for regular board meetings. But we're going to get to know each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Any other discussion? So it looks like we are set, at least, and we'll set with May 2nd, and then decide quickly between March 21st and March 29th, and get your homework in to Tatiana as soon as you can, because we'll have start going in depth in the discussion about where we are and where we want to be with our roadmap at our next meeting.
Sounds good.
No other business to come before the committee. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Thank you.